If you're trying to choose between Ferber, fading, and the chair method, you're probably not actually asking which one works. You're asking which one won't break my baby, break my heart, or break my marriage at 1:47 a.m. And if you've been doom scrolling sleep advice, you've basically let the internet appoint itself as your co-parent. Bold choice. Hi, I'm Treasure, and I help exhaustive working parents get out of the guessing game and into a plan that fits their baby and their real life. Let's start with the truth that instantly lowers the pressure. The best sleep method is the one you can do consistently with the least amount of emotional whiplash while your baby learns a predictable way to fall asleep and stay asleep. Because inconsistency is what keeps this cycle alive. Random nights of I'll do checks mixed with I'll rock, mixed with I'll bring you into bed, mixed with I'll try again tomorrow, is how you end up doing a different method every night and getting the same results every night. Here's the first thing I want you to know. These methods are not totally different planets. They're all skill building. They're just different ways of answering one question. How much help am I giving at bedtime, and how fast am I reducing it? By the way, if you want all of this laid out clearly, grab my free guide, The Modern Parent Sleep Roadmap, the guide I wish I had at 2 a.m. The link is in the video description and on the screen. Now let's talk about what these methods actually are in normal people language. Ferber is a structured way to give your baby chances to practice falling asleep while you still check in at planned moments. It's not leave your baby and disappear. It's not never comfort. It's timed reassurance with increasing space for your baby to do the last part. Fading is the slow dimmer switch. You're reducing how much help you give little by little so the change feels smaller. That can look like reducing rocking time, reducing feeding to sleep patterns, shifting the timing of your support, or changing how quickly you respond. The chair method is exactly what it sounds like. You're present in the room and you gradually become less involved over time. It's I'm here, you're safe without doing all the work for them. Now let's clear up the biggest lie that makes parents panic. Gentle is not defined by how the parent feels in the moment. Gentle is defined by whether the plan is predictable, responsive, and consistent for your baby. A method can look gentle on paper, but if you're doing it for 3 weeks with constant switching, your baby can end up crying more overall because nothing makes sense. And yes, I'm saying that with love. Sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is stop experimenting on your own sleep. So how do you choose? Let's start with what's really driving your decision, because most parents pick based on vibes, not fit. Here are the 3 questions that tell me almost everything. How does your baby respond to your presence? How does your baby respond to change? And how do you respond to crying, uncertainty, and not being in control? If your baby ramps up when they see you, this matters. Some babies get more upset with pop-ins because it resets them. They see you, they want you, and when you leave, again, it feels like a fresh breakup scene. For those babies, the chair method can actually be harder because your presence can keep them activated. And for those babies, a Ferber style approach sometimes works better because it's clear, brief, and not confusing. If your baby calms with your presence, that matters too. Some babies regulate fast when you're close. They don't necessarily need you to do the whole bedtime, they just need your nervous system nearby. For those babies, the chair method or a slow fading approach can be a really good fit, because the goal isn't to prove your baby can do hard things without you. The goal is to help your baby learn sleep while still feeling safe. Now let's talk about the pace of change, because this is where parents get stuck. If you want the quickest clarity and you can handle a short, intense learning curve, Ferber can be a strong choice. It's structured, it's clear, and it often gets you out of the every night is different trap. But it does require you to be steady. If you choose it and then keep abandoning it midstream, you're teaching your baby one thing really well. If I protest hard enough, the plan changes. If you want the most gradual approach, and you're the kind of parent who can tolerate slow progress without spiraling, fading can be a great fit. But I need you to hear this part. Fading is not do whatever feels kindest each night. Fading is still a plan. It's just a plan that reduces help in smaller slices so your baby can adapt without huge jumps. And the chair method? This is often the emotional sweet spot for parents who need to know they're physically there. It can feel more aligned for families who value presence, and it can be especially appealing if you've been terrified of anything that looks like leaving. But it can also backfire if you accidentally become an interactive bedtime audience. And if your baby is performing, chatting, reaching, playing, and you're responding, you're not actually fading. You're hosting. So the chair method works best when your presence is calm and boring, like you're a houseplant with feelings. Now let's talk about your values, because I want to respect them without letting them trap you. A lot of parents say, I value attachment, so I can't do Ferber. But attachment isn't one bedtime strategy. Attachment is the whole relationship. The warmth all day, the repair after hard moments, the consistency, the responsiveness, the delight. A baby can have a secure, loving attachment and still learn sleep skills. And a baby can also have a parent who never lets them fuss at night and still feel stressed because the nights are chaotic and unpredictable. So instead of asking which method is the most morally acceptable, ask this: which method can I do consistently in a way that keeps my baby safe and helps my home feel calm again? Because that is a values question. Now, let's talk about the part nobody tells you but every professional parent feels. Your capacity matters. If you're postpartum, anxious, depressed, or you're barely functioning at work, the best method is the one that lowers your overall suffering the fastest. Not because you're selfish, because you're human, and because your baby benefits when you're regulated. If a slower method keeps you stuck in night chaos for weeks and you're falling apart, that's not a badge of honor. That's just more suffering. If the faster method feels doable for you and your partner for a few focus nights, and then you get your life back, that can be the most compassionate option for your whole family. And if you're parenting solo, I want to say this clearly. You don't need a method that requires superhero stamina. You need a method that matches the reality that you're the only one on duty. That often means choosing the plan with the fewest moving parts and the most predictable response, so you're not negotiating at 2 a.m. with a tiny lawyer. Now let's talk about what actually makes any method work, because this is where people get burned. Most method failures are not method failures. They're foundation problems. If bedtime is too late and your baby is overtired, everything gets louder. If bedtime is too early and your baby isn't ready for sleep, everything takes forever. If naps are chaotic, nights are fragile. If there's a feeding pattern that's become the main sleep association, you can't ignore that and hope a method magically overrides it. So regardless of which method you choose, your fewest moves plan starts with the same core moves. You lock in a consistent wind down. You protect a realistic bedtime that matches your baby's sleep needs. You decide what you will do when your baby wakes overnight, so you're not inventing policy in the dark. And you commit to a single approach long enough to get clean information. Not forever. Long enough to know whether it's working. Because switching methods every 2 nights is like changing a recipe mid-bake and then blaming the oven. Now let me give you the simplest way to match the method to the baby without turning this into a personality quiz. If your baby gets angrier when you check in, lean away from frequent pop-ins. If your baby settles with brief reassurance and doesn't spiral when you leave, structured checks can be great. If your baby is very sensitive, very alert, or easily stimulated, presence can either help regulation or keep them wired, and you'll usually know which one it is within a few nights. If your baby is older and has strong opinions, the chair method can sometimes turn into a power struggle if you're engaging, so your calm matters even more. And if you're choosing fading, choose it because you can truly be consistent with slow changes, not because you're hoping you can avoid any protest at all. Because protest is not always a sign of harm. Sometimes it's just a sign of change. Here's the part that makes parents excel. You don't have to pick a method that feels perfect. You have to pick a method that feels aligned enough, clear enough, and doable enough. Then you do it with warmth and consistency. That's what makes it humane. This is where I'll stop you from overthinking one more time. If you and your partner can't agree, don't pick the method yet. Pick the value statement. We're going to be consistent, we're going to respond calmly, and we're going to choose the plan that gives our baby predictable sleep and gives us back our functioning. That's the win. And if you're doing this alone, your statement is even simpler. I'm choosing the plan I can actually sustain. Now here's when I'd stop guessing and get extra support. If your baby has reflux symptoms, breathing concerns, persistent ear infections, significant eczema, itch, weight gain, concerns, or you suspect pain, you want your pediatrician involved. If your baby is under about 4 months old, or you have complicated feeding or growth concerns, you want a personalized approach, not internet rules. And if you've tried a method and things are escalating for more than a few nights, or you're getting more wake-ups, more distress, and less sleep overall, it usually means something foundational is off, and you shouldn't have to troubleshoot that alone. If you want me to help you choose the right method for your baby's temperament and your family's values, this is exactly what I do. I have a master's in social work, I'm a certified pediatric sleep consultant, and I'm the CEO of Rested and Renewed Pediatric Sleep Consulting. And yes, I'm also a toddler mom, so I fully understand how personal bedtime can feel. You can book a consultation and we'll build a plan that fits your baby and your real schedule. And if you're not ready to book yet, start with my free sleep roadmap in the description. Now let me give you the final piece that makes choosing feel easy. When you pick a method, you're not picking how much you love your baby. You're picking how you want to communicate at bedtime. Ferber communicates, I'm here, I'll check on you, and you can do this. Fading communicates, I'm going to help you less and less, so you learn it gently over time. The chair method communicates, I'm right here while you practice, and I'll slowly step back. All of those can be loving. All of those can be respectful. The difference is which message your baby understands best and which message you can deliver consistently. If this helped you feel clearer instead of more confused, the next video is going to take that clarity and make it feel even more doable tonight, especially if you've been stuck in the same exact wake-up pattern for weeks. Tap the screen to watch my next video.
Don't forget, download the guide, subscribe for more clarity, and tap this screen. Trust me on this one.